This is a battle in the Use It and Lose It tournament with HunnicWarrior commanding Massilia and MisterChaplain commanding Athens. So the rules are that if you use a faction, you lose the ability to use that faction later in the tournament. Max 8 melee infantry, max 4 of the same. There are some other rules as well, but those are the main ones. Massilia is actually a good pick against Athens in this particular case. Massilia can bring Massilian hoplites. They have three Massilian hoplites. Some thorax swords in the mix. On the flanks we have axe warriors. One has an upgrade. Then we of course have levy freemen. 3 levy freemen. Hippeus lancers, 2 of those. 1 Massilian cavalry. And 3 Celtic slingers. So a nice and balanced army. For Chaplain, we have a front line of Thereos, thorax hoplites in the center. Thorax hoplites much better than hoplites of comparable price because they have an elite spear that gives them 8 armor penetration. Stacking that with the phalanx means they have considerable staying power in melee and considerable killing power as well. A few slingers, thorax swords, citizen cavalry. Now Thereos, I know a lot of people like to bring Thereos. Thereos are a problematic unit, because when they have fire at will on, they lose any and all bracing against cavalry. So a cheeky Hippeus lancer could just charge in frontally, destroy this unit, continue into the citizens, and do a lot of damage that way. But Hippeus are very expensive units. Both players going very wide with their deployment. Front line of thorax hoplites, second line of thorax swords. A good idea. The only problem is that it's going to be harder to get in the precursors. And of course Massilia, with the levy freemen, has the option to essentially use them as skirmishers. If I was Massilia, I wouldn't be too worried about the citizen cavalry of Athens here. Even though Massilia only has, 3-4 cav units as well. The citizen cavalry could tie down the Hippeus for quite some time. But the flanks here, if we match up unit for unit, Athens takes this battle in a head. Massilia takes this battle in a head-on engagement, and Massilia doesn't really have the skirmish power to be able to inflict enough damage. Moving up very close, this might be a quick and dirty battle here. Thereos firing at levy freemen. Frontal charge incoming from Hippeus. Phalanx, but it's going to take too long for them to form up. So, no bracing. Phalanx, not a good idea to use Phalanx at that moment in time. The thorax hoplites get wrecked, and here comes the follow-up from Massilian hoplites. The thorax hoplites are going to take so much damage from this charge. Yeah, just losing hardcore from the charge of the Massilian hoplites. A very nice frontal cav charge. This is how you break an infantry line. Send in the cavalry first, and then pile in the infantry. Very nicely done here. These Massilian hoplites are going to be able to hold well against thorax swords and thorax hoplites, but they need to be in phalanx to get the bonus versus infantry. This is why I don't like Thereos. The axe warriors are going to destroy the Thereos. Same thing over here. Levy free and axe warriors are going to absolutely destroy Thereos. Levy freemen getting into the citizen cavalry here, while the Thereos are breaking, losing decisively. And yeah, there's nothing Athens can do in this case. Popping raise banner. Now the units are in phalanx, but it's a little too late here, because thorax hoplites are losing all across the line. The picked hoplites are a good unit for being a hoplite, so they should do well against the Massilian hoplites when they get the charge here. But there's nothing going on in the back, just one lonely unit of citizen cavalry, another unit, but this cavalry here more than capable of dealing with the citizen cav, and of course the levy freemen also able to get their precursors in. There they go, and they killed 2 citizens on the charge there. Now the follow-up from the damaged Hippeus lancers is probably going to be enough to finish off the citizen cavalry. But the Citizen Cavalry could be able to continue into the backs of these Thorax Swords. Thorax Swords, about the only mid-tier sword that loses head-on to Thorax Hoplites. So Thorax Swords, they're just such a crappy unit. And if I was to bring Massilia, I would probably just have brought Celtics, Axe Warriors, and Massilian Hoplites. Over here, Axe Warriors doing a good job against the Rayos, of course. Slingers firing into this blob, so the Hippeus Lancers are going to take a lot of damage. The Massilian Cav losing decisively as well. When the Thorax Hoplites get in, it would probably be best to just get the Massilian Cav General out. But Massilia winning on the flanks, getting a Celtic Warrior around here. The Pict Hoplites are holding strong in phalanx, but they are about to get rear charge, so Thorax Hoplites being pulled out, nicely done. Celtic Warriors charging in, doing some damage to the Slingers, doing a bit of damage to the Thorax Hoplites. But I would be extremely surprised if Massilia doesn't take this. Now the Axe Warriors move in. This is what they're great for. Moving into melees that are already happening. They get their charge bonus in. They are able to stay alive for longer, and they can get some kills with their axes now. 118 means they have been fighting spears, and now they're getting kills quickly against the Thorax Hoplites. A perfect engagement for Axe Warriors. They're not frontline infantry, they are supporting infantry, and they excel in that role. Hippeus Lancers charging in here to break the Thorax Swords. Thorax Swords have gotten some kills, but they were fighting Levy Freemen. And another great charge here by the Hippeus Lancers. These small charges, although they're not perfect, they add up. The hit point damage adds up, and it's very important to get... Essentially, the player who charges the most with cavalry and has cavalry available for the late game is going to be in a massively advantageous position compared to the player who charges less with his cavalry, especially against infantry. So the Pict Hoplites drop now to the Hippeus. The perfect scenario would see the Hippeus get charges like this, back and forth. And it seems like that's what's going to happen here. Breaking the Thorax Hoplites allows the Celtic Warriors to get a rear charge against the Pict Hoplites. And yeah, there's really nothing Athens can do. Athens is just a weaker faction than Massilia in every way. They haven't got a single advantage over Massilia, well, other than their elite skirmish, but the elite skirmish is easily taken away by Massilia having a decisive cavalry advantage. The combination Hippeus and Massilian Cav is far superior to Hippeus and Citizen Cav. So the Pict Hoplites, they could be able to tank it out here. You can see that the combat is even, but this Hippeus unimpeded in the back, charging, getting into the Pict Hoplites, should cause a few casualties. And this is what you usually see with Athens. Losing everywhere, the Pict Hoplites hold, but they rarely get enough kills to justify their extremely high price. And in my opinion, elite Hoplites in Rome 2 are much too expensive. So close victory there for Massilia. Massilia bringing the superior army. There is really nothing that Athens can do about this. Although bringing, let's see, here we have 4 Thorax Hoplites. That's a good choice. 4 Thorax Hoplites under these rules make all the sense in the world. But then the problem is that the Athens cannot match. Like, look at the kills on the Axe Warriors. The Axe Warriors were used perfectly, matched up against spears, able to support fights, and this is how you want Axe Warriors to perform. You don't want them to get charged a single time, and if you manage to do that, they're going to get a lot of kills. Now look at the Celtic Warriors here. 179 kills, very nice. The Massilian Hoplites do the worst of the melee infantry aside from the Thorax Hoplites, mainly because they're used as frontline infantry against the very good Thorax Hoplites. But these frontal charges with Hippeus just makes it much worse for Athens. Athens couldn't really stop the frontal cav charges with citizen cavalry. Athens doesn't have Levy Freemen to screen away enemy cavalry. Athens is just overall a weak faction that is very hard to make work. So HunnicWarrior takes it. Now he can't use Massilia during the rest of the tournament, which I'm sure he's very concerned about. Strength and honor.